Hello, and welcome to Fast Thoughts with me, Wolfgang. Today, we'll be covering Quantum Suicide, a visual novel by Cotton Candy Cyanide. The game follows Jordan, or whatever you choose to call them, a young man or woman, again, player's choice, who wakes up on a spaceship called the Everett, which is in the middle of an interstellar flight. On the ship, however, the onboard AI, known as I, has suffered a strange issue where another personality, Die, occasionally takes over and forces the crew to play a deletion game, the loser of which is executed. The game is clearly inspired by the likes of Danganronpa and has a few references to it, including a certain number. The idea of a death game is nothing new, but the execution is what we're here for, as it were. The characters have the distinct feeling of being alright. They all feel like they've been made with care and have some depth to them, but don't feel as well explored as they could be. Additionally, they all feel a bit too nice in a way, with only a few showing real flaws of any significance. It feels like they were all written to be liked, but it leaves them feeling a little hollow as a result. The real standout among the characters is Dai, the rogue AI, who is just so much fun to watch as she messes with all the other characters. When the AI feels more human than most of the other characters, that's a little strange though. The story is similarly good, with some depth in places, but suffers from a feeling of being in a hurry. While I get annoyed when a story hangs on certain points far longer than necessary, that feeling of just get on with it, on the flip side, some events need to be hung on for a reasonable length of time, particularly the death scenes here, where it feels like the game just says, oh, someone died. Well, we got places to be, so later. Similarly, the endings, which should feel like a reward, are kinda short. They're better than they were on original release, having been extended since. They're still not exactly long. There are endings for most of the other characters, as either a romantic partner or a friendship with the main character, depending on the gender you are playing as and the NPC's romantic preferences. The one thing I would say very much in the story's favour is that it lets you work out what's going on pretty much without having to spell it out. There is a little bit of an info dump at the end, though that mostly felt, to me at least, like it was just to confirm that yes, what you thought was happening did in fact happen. Yes, you were correct, good job, have a pat on the back. Regarding the art, it's good, with solid backgrounds and CGs. The character sprites look a little odd in places, just sort of particular poses looking a little bit strange. And they have a different style from the backgrounds, which makes the game feel less cohesive in places. Backgrounds are in a relatively realistic style, while the sprites feel much more cartoony, with the CGs being somewhere in the middle. It's odd and just makes the whole thing feel, as I say, less cohesive, and it seems like a slightly odd choice to have made. The last note is regarding the voices. Play this game with the Japanese voices. I usually roll my eyes at people saying the Japanese cast of a game is so much better. Ooh, but here, the Japanese is a lot more cohesive. It's not the individual voice actors in the English, though some are clearly better than others. It's more the weird mixing. The audio often sounds very different in quality of recording, the volume is all over the place in some parts, and it just sounds very much like people having pieces of a conversation in different rooms. While it's not as bad as it was on first release, where several lines were missing or in the wrong places, it's still very hard to listen to the English version because of all of these differences in the audio dragging you out of the story in the middle of it. Overall, I'd say Quantum Suicide feels very much like the light version of a Danganronpa or Zero Escape game. It has little gameplay, it's less dense in the pseudoscience, and is shorter than those games, and that's okay. It's not the best example of that theme by any means, but it's a perfectly serviceable one, particularly for someone who just wants to dip their toe in the metaphorical pond. I give Quantum Suicide an 11,037 out of 15,767. It's alright, it's not a masterpiece, but it's solid enough. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more fast thoughts. And if there's something you'd like to hear my fast thoughts on, or you have some thoughts of your own on today's topic, please leave a comment below. I'll see you down there.